Hey there, Jake here from CVP. Today we are taking a look at Cooke's latest addition to their SP3 line of lenses, the 18mm T2.4. The SP3s have been incredibly popular since their release last year, and over that time I've had numerous people tell me that they really hope that Cooke would release an 18mm for the set, and thankfully Cooke has delivered. We've had the 18mm SP3 for a couple of weeks, so have managed to take it out onto a few different shoots. This included the little teaser we put in the Sony 85mm video, a few shots from our C80 video, and some more specific tests and ideas. The image looks just as nice as you would expect. It's got that Cooke character that the whole SP3 set has. 18mm on full frame really is incredibly wide, so trying to get some depth to the image requires some creative compositions, but the corners can certainly get quite funky. With how small and light this lens is as well, I can see it being used a lot on small configurations, and with it being this wide, I think it would be great for interior shots or even car rigs where space is tight. Let us know what you think of the image in the comments below. The 18mm unsurprisingly shares a lot of its design with the existing SP3 lenses. It has the same front diameter of 82mm and a 77mm filter thread as the 100mm, but it is slightly shorter at 109mm in length. Focus and iris gear placement are consistent across the whole set, which will make swapping them out when running motors or even a Ronin 4D config very easy. It has the same non-linear focus design and 160-degree focus throw as the rest of the set. This is one aspect of the lenses we really like. They are clearly designed for more solo operator use, as this throw is a good amount shorter than most other cine-focus lenses. It weighs roughly 688 grams, which will make it easy to rig onto handheld configurations, gimbals, and even the Ronin 4D. We actually shot a lot of the car meet using the 18mm paired with an FX3 on an RS4 Pro with the Focus Pro, and it behaved very well in this setup. Thanks to the interchangeable mount system on the whole SP3 set, we managed to use the 18mm across the C80, which is obviously RF, and a range of Sony cameras, but mounts for M and L mount are also available. Since the SP3s have been available, one solution has come out which pairs really nicely with them. This is the Tiffen magnetic control system. It's essentially a set of step-up rings and filters that use magnets to attach to the front of your lens. That way you can get, let's say, a 77mm filter, and then all of the necessary magnetic rings for the front of your SP3 lenses. That way you can simply swap filters without having to unscrew anything. Just clip on and pull off. It's super fast to use, and the filters feel very solid when on the lens. Tiffen has a range of filters available in this system, but in the kit that we have with us here, we have a polarizer, variable ND, and black mist. We use the ND and polarizer a good amount during our time shooting with the 18mm, and the system works really well. I can see this being really handy not only for cameras with no internal NDs, but also as a fast, light way to use diffusion. We did struggle with vignetting when using it on the 18mm, so had to crop across some rushes we shot with our FX3. So if you're shooting with the camera with a larger sensor area than that, you may experience even more vignetting. However, with the 25mm onwards, we had no issues with this system, they work great. The 18mm has a close focus of 10 inches or 25 centimeters, which is actually the same as the 25mm SP3. When shooting on full frame with this lens at close focus, you can get some very interesting results, especially if you put your subject towards the corners of frame. It performs well here though, with low amounts of CA. If you want to keep up with the latest and greatest kit, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to buy anything you see in this video, or just want to get your hands on the Cooke SP3s or any other kit for that matter, head over to cvp.com where our experienced team is waiting to help you. The entire Cooke SP3 set have a rated image circle of 43.3mm, which will cover loads of full frame sensors. We shot these coverage examples on our FX3 in its stills mode using our regular methodology. Wide open we can see some light loss towards the corners, at close focus and infinity. This light loss does improve though at T4, where illumination is more even across the frame. Let's take a look at the image it produces, starting with our bokeh headshot examples. For these we shot with both the 18mm and 32mm in the same setup to see how similar the 18mm is to the rest of the SP3 set. Starting wide open, we can see that our out of focus highlights have a defined edge to them with a slight glow and a touch of colour aberration in the centre. Towards the corners, we can see a little bit more aberration, which is present even when stopping down. We can also see our out of focus highlights swelling out from the centre. Towards the corners, we can see really misshapen highlights, but this swell is part of the unique look that this lens can capture. As we stop down, we can see the 9-blade iris forming the shape of our out of focus highlights, more consistent shape across the frame, and consistent character. Looking at the 32mm performance, we can see that the 18mm out of focus highlights look very similar across the different characteristics we've looked at. This is good, and from our time shooting with the 18mm and the rest of the SP3 set, this new 18mm definitely shares a lot of the same character as the rest of the set. And even with a T2.4 maximum aperture, it can produce some excellent character and depth when you have some decent separation in your composition. One characteristic that can be quite different between different focal lengths of a set of lenses is flare. So we wanted to see how well the 18mm flare matches with some of the other SP3 lenses. So we grabbed the 18, 25 and 75mm and shot a torch in the same position back to back. The 18mm flare does have similar character and colour to the other two lenses, which is good to see. In the real world, when we did manage to get the lens to flare, it does look nice, and not quite as busy as some other wide angle lenses that I've used before. Let's take a look at our focus chart and see how the lens performs. For these tests, we shot on the Sony Burano in its 8K RAW mode. Starting in the centre wide open, we can see a touch of colour aberration and slightly lifted blacks. As we stop down, the lens resolves a bit better, but I would say it performs well from around 2.8 onwards. Heading towards the corners, we can see a pretty heavy fall off wide open. Even at T2.8, we can see colour aberration and quite low detail. As you stop down, it does resolve better, with overall contrast really improving at 5.6. However, colour aberration is still present even when stopped down. This is similar in performance to the other Cooke SP3 lenses. They all resolve well in the centre, have low contrast, and have fall off towards the corners of frame. Let's take a look at how the lens performs in regards to transverse aberration. We can see that the 18mm is greeny yellow after our point of focus and purpley blue before that. There has been some CA present on some of our test images, but the rest of the set has some too, so this will match the other SP3s well. As with the rest of the set, the 18mm has some focus breathing. For these examples, we stopped down to T5.6 and pulled through the entire focus range, so this may look more exaggerated than a real world focus pull. Given how dramatic pulling from a subject from close focus to infinity looks on this lens, a little bit of breathing is just part of the look. Taking a look at some of the images of our checkerboard chart, we can see that the 18mm actually has moustache distortion, which means it has barrel in the centre and pincushion towards the corners. In the real world, it's sometimes noticeable, but it's a pretty light amount of distortion, which will be reasonably easy to correct in post if you do want to. One of the big questions we had about the 18mm was how well it was going to match the existing SP3 lenses. As well as the testing we've already run through, we also wanted to shoot some scenes with the 18mm paired with a few other focal lengths of SP3. Thankfully, the 18mm matches decently well with the rest of the SP3 set. It has a similar fall off towards the corners of frame, out of focus rendering, flare, and overall image quality. It will be a good choice to grab for those shots where 25mm just isn't quite wide enough. If you haven't seen our review of the existing 5-lens set of SP3s, I suggest checking that video out right after you finish this one. Lenses are always an incredibly personal choice, so if you are seriously considering buying these lenses, I would suggest reaching out to us to book a demo today where you can come into our offices and get your hands on the lenses yourself. Details about that are down below. The existing 5-lens SP3 set is going to be going end of life, and a new 6-lens kit will take its place. This new lens and the new kits are available to pre-order now on our website. The Cooke SP3 set is one of our favourite sets of cine primes. They combine their great image with an incredibly light, compact and solid housing designed for the modern mirrorless mount camera landscape. The images that they can capture are gorgeous, and the 18mm fits into the set perfectly. It certainly was a creative challenge shooting just with an 18mm for some of our real world testing, as 18mm on full frame really is incredibly wide. But we are happy with the images that we've managed to capture. Especially at close focus, the lens really pops, and corners can get very interesting, especially wide open. It's a great addition that I'm sure rental companies and owner-operators alike will pick up to flesh out the rest of their set. Anyway, if you're interested in picking up one for yourself, I've put links to our website in the description below. If you have any further questions about the lens, let us know in the comments below, And if you like the video, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching.